And joining us right now is our favorite. I mean, seriously, is anyone better at good, down-home, Branson, Missouri, redneck humor than Stuart Varney?
Get her done.
That's right, Stuart. From the Fox Business Channel.
You got me.
Yeah, I know. Of course, Varney and Company, weekdays at 11 a.m. every day. Stuart, we're just coming off this conversation.
We're going to drag you into our conversation.
So, well, I mean, it does. We're talking about how Hillary Clinton is now busted not only for not interacting with anyone at that Chipotle, but she didn't tip anyone at the counter. And this does sort of, I think, is a window into a little bit of the hypocrisy from Hillary Clinton, who says she wants to be a champion of everyday Americans, but when she has an opportunity to actually throw, a buck into a tip jar, she neglects to do so.
I think it is incumbent upon people who have money, who've been successful, to be generous. Now, Hillary Clinton has money. She's been successful.
Yes.
So be generous, for heaven's sake. Now, she's in the process of trying to transition her image away from being very rich, very successful, up there on the food chain, to everyday American. Well, that's a very difficult transition for someone like her to make.
It is.
Do we really think she is just one of us? Of course we don't. And when she walks into a Chipotle and orders up a burrito or whatever it is, and the bill is $20 and change, when you just plunk down $21 and walk out, you are not being very generous, and you're not doing much to enhance your image, are you?
All right, but here's the real question. Are you a brown bean or a black bean guy when you go to Chipotle's?
Black bean, baby.
That's all the way. You and I disagree on
I like
that.
the black bean with the pork,
okay,
but the brown bean
we've
with
heard
the
this
chicken.
before. Okay.
What's wrong with you, Brian?
But I got to tell you, I think that this I'm going to be a champion. I'm going to go out and I'm going to mix it up with real people. Has been a complete, unmitigated disaster for her campaign. I mean, she goes to Chipotle and she doesn't even talk to anybody in the restaurant.
Now, Bill Clinton, he'd got it.
Yeah.
He'd got the magic touch.
Yeah.
If he'd have walked into Chipotle, he would have known half the people there. He would have glad-handed everybody there.
Twice.
He would have stayed 2 hours and made a huge, big deal out of it. I mean, he had the touch. I don't think Hillary does have
Well, and
the
then she goes to Iowa. She finally gets to Iowa, and she's going to have this conversation with everyday Americans. They turn out to be all hand-picked Democratic operatives.
I mean, it was so obviously staged.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, she said something else in Iowa. She said her religiosity, I think that was the expression she used, her religiosity made her give back. So what happened to the tip at Chipotle, may I ask?
Yeah.
The lessons I learned from my church, you're supposed to give back.
Yeah, there you go.
Locking in the Christian vote right there.
Stuart, I saw this story in the New York Times, I think it was yesterday morning, and I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. It's about this company out of Seattle called Gravity Payments, where they're going to start doing this $70,000 a year minimum wage for all their employees.
Yep.
And I didn't understand it. I was trying to figure out how that actually worked and whether this is some sort of trend amongst these, compassionate capitalists that they're calling themselves. But then I saw you had him on your show, the CEO. Please explain what this is and whether this is just sort of a gimmick to get better quality employees to this company.
Look, I had him on my show. His name is Dan Price. He runs this company, and he is literally going to have a floor of $70,000 for every employee. Nobody can earn less than that.
The receptionist, they
all get $70,000 minimum, and up from there. Now, is this part of some leftist movement to encourage CEOs to be generous, or is this guy an all-round good guy doing something nice on the spur of the moment? Well, after interviewing the guy, I come down with the latter.
Yeah.
He is an articulate, good guy who genuinely wants to improve the lives of his 120 employees.
Wow.
And went out there and made this surprise announcement. I think he's a good guy. There is another side to the coin, which is he is a cheerleader for the left. He's encouraging this movement to legislate higher wages.
Yeah, see, now that's a problem.
And that's a real problem for me.
Yeah.
But I've got to tell you, having interviewed the guy, he was sitting next to me. We did a long interview. I think he's an all-round good guy. That's my opinion.
And let's face it, that's what we champions of the free market should not criticize a CEO who is deciding in his company that he wishes to do that. That's free market economics. He'll succeed or he'll fail based on his decisions. Yeah. The problem comes when the government then forces everyone to do it.
Oh, that's a huge problem. And he may have a problem, too, a couple of years from now when all of his profit is eaten up by the higher salaries, which is awarded to his employees. If that's the case, you don't have any more money for reinvestment in technology and equipment, and you've got yourself a problem, and it's a problem of your own making. But that's a couple of years down the road.
It's interesting to see whether that social experiment works. Yeah. Hey, listen, I noticed that Jack Welch was on Varney and Company. It has he had some things to say about Ted Cruz. This is, of course, the legendary CEO of General Electric.
Well, it was Charlie Gasparino.
Oh, was it?
Our guy at FBN. He was on the show, and he said that Jack Welch has made a decision that he is supporting Ted Cruz.
Wow.
Now, he broke that on my show exclusively.
Okay.
And he backed it up. Now, if that's the case, this is a legendary CEO, perhaps the best CEO of an entire generation, who's come down on the right, come down for a conservative within the Republican nominee field, not a moderate. I think that changes the balance, actually. If this is correct, and if Jack Welch is coming out for Ted Cruz, and I believe it is, then you've shifted the intellectual power of the right away from the moderates like Jeb Bush.
The establishment.
Are you suggesting that as Jack Welch goes, so other CEOs will also go?
No, I'm not suggesting that at all, Brian. I am suggesting that he has so much clout that if he gets behind one candidate, Ted Cruz, he has shifted the whole impetus of the campaign.
I'll tell you, my brother was a vice president for GE back when Welch was there, and this man has disciples everywhere. Anyone who was in the business world, whether you worked for GE or not, during the heyday of the late 80s and all through the 90s, he is a hero to so many people that's going to, you're right, that's going to really make an impact.
Oh, he built that company. He took over from Rick Jones, and for 20 years he was the CEO, and he built it into a global conglomerate of enormous power.
Yeah. Really quickly, I saw this story this morning, and again, Stuart, hopefully you can explain it to me. We always talk about China holding on to so much of America's debt. Now, apparently, Japan is our biggest creditor. That's got to be better for us than China, right?
Well, I go back to 2008 in the campaign. Then Senator Obama said that George Bush was just cashing in the China credit card, and that was unpatriotic and immoral. Fast forward to 2015, we find that Barack Obama, President Obama, is cashing in big time the Asian credit card because we now have Japan surpassing China as holders of our debt. And by the way, when you combine those two countries, they own more of America's debt than America's central bank, the Federal Reserve. Now, you think this through. That means billions of dollars a week are flowing to China and Japan from America in interest on the debt that they hold. That's not good.
This is the kind of insight you'll get every day at 11 a.m. on the Fox Business Network with Stuart Varney and Company. And by the way, Stuart, thanks for adding to our catalog here. Now we've got this.
Black bean, baby.
Yeah, I like Black bean. And we got this one.
What's wrong with you, Brian?
I'll be using that one a lot.
Hold on.
Get her done.
Thanks, Stuart.